Ooh, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 98 of the Stand Up Guys podcast. I'm your host, Incomparable Zach Jones, joined as always by my brother from the same mother, Lester Jones.
Hello, everybody.
And of course, let's see who we got with us this week. It's the Ninth Wonder, Chocolate Thunder, doing the deed and spreading that seed, the rootin' tootin', skeet shootin', filling up pies with the might of 50 guys. I ain't telling no lies, the phenomenal A.J. Singh.
I get called rootin' tootin' too many times, man.
Mischievous.
It's because you're from Texas. Everything's rootin' tootin'
We
down
just
there.
walk around shooting guns in the air.
Well, everybody listening, we are going to do later on in the show, probably towards the end, because there are going to be spoilers involved. We're going to do a review of Miss Marvel, Episode 1, the new Disney Plus series. But before we get to that, what have you guys been doing and watching besides that this week?
I've still been watching Nick DeRamio, man. I think he's got like 20 different videos on him just tearing apart Shane Dawson.
Who the fuck is Shane Dawson?
Exactly. I didn't know who that was either, but apparently he's like this really popular YouTuber who does like stupid shit sometimes. And like his fan base is rabid. Like if you say anything about him, like they will come after you. So I'm not saying anything about him, but
But maybe that's what our channel needs. We need to pick a fight with another YouTube channel.
big shot?
So that we get some crossfire action. That's what we need to do.
they'd be like just harassing our boards and everything, our comments, and we wouldn't have anybody saying anything to them.
No such thing as bad press.
You just get in like one of those states where you rapidly defend yourself, no matter how wrong you are.
That's true. Yeah, never apologize.
People look up to that.
I just think it'd be funny if we picked a random person and then we just always make fun of that guy's channel or whatever, like for no reason.
Yeah, that's true. That'd be fun. Oh man! By the way, that whole like never admitting to it thing is something that people do with the cops too. Like they all like when I was in boot camp, people would be like, "Never tell the truth. When you tell a lie, stick to it. Don't ever tell the truth." So I guess
I think the best advice of the cops is just don't say anything.
yeah, for sure.
Just shut the fuck up.
Yeah. That's my 2 cents.
What about you over there? I know I just got you watching an episode of MacGyver. If that's an indication of where
I
things are.
told you I'm caught up. I watched like the few of the boys that came out. I watched the few.
Oh yeah, I watched those.
Well, there was like 7 or 8 Stranger Things, right?
Oh, I think did we all watch? Did we all finish Stranger Things this week?
I did.
Oh, you watched season?
Yeah. It was good.
But you
man.
still
Yeah,
didn't
it's
see
really
like
good.
2 and 3, right?
So I haven't seen 2 or 3.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you skipped
I
2 and
skipped
3?
2 and 3.
Well, yeah, he
I gotta go back and watch.
like vicariously watched a good chunk of season 4, so you might as well finish it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I could never just like skip seasons. I
I normally wouldn't, and it was like I wanted to avoid season 4, but Rumman had it. My sister, she had it on, and I was like, "All right, this is too good." Like I was captivated by
It's
the
really
first
good, yeah.
episode. Yeah. So I enjoyed that a lot. The kids really did grow up a lot too. You were
They
right.
did, yeah.
But the show like leans into it. You know, it doesn't try to make them like
Yeah.
little kids forever, like tiny little kids.
I saw a meme that said the real villain is the one kid's hair barber.
The bowl cut.
Is that Will? That kid?
Will,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he comes off as kind of like I haven't gotten him completely yet. Like I know he's like probably bisexual or gay
Well, yeah,
or
I think they
something.
keep hinting at that his character's gay, but
Yeah, I think they said. Yeah, I think it was gay.
Yeah.
well, they haven't said, but he certainly like it seems like they're
It seems like one
setting
of the
that up.
seasons was pretty indicative.
I don't think they've blatantly said it at all, but it seems like his character's going in that direction. It seems like.
Yeah, it looks like it. And there was a moment in this season where he's like talking about how hard it is to tell people the truth
Right.
and stuff like that. But he's got a lot of pent up emotions that he's not sharing.
I'm a glass case of emotion.
Yeah. He just seems like he's in a funk. I like that girl who lives in the trailer park. She's my
Trailer
favorite
Park
character.
Girl.
Oh, right, the red haired.
Yeah, she's my favorite character so far.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they looked out. Or maybe casting directors are just better. It seems like because it seemed like in the old days, like most kid actors were terrible.
Yeah.
And like these days, they get quite a few good ones, and it seems like the cast for that show, they're all pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know what casting was like back then. I used to hear about like how they'd have like hundreds and thousands of kids show up for a role and like they'd pick out the best one, but like
There's like a prerequisite that like the parents had to leave the kids alone with like some random dudes.
Dan Schneider.
So it's probably just like the kids where their parents were like, yeah, go with these guys.
Oh no.
We'll get the job.
But yeah, like I heard they go through all these different kids and they still couldn't like really get that talented of kids back then. So I don't know what they're doing different now.
They're like the key is to find British kids that can speak with an English accent.
They're just smarter than us.
Okay, yeah, I watched quite a bit of stuff this week. So I watched, I think, the newest episode of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, which had a body swap episode where Spock and his fiance they do this Vulcan mind thing to get to know each other better, but it ends up
They got to know each other too well.
it ends up body swapping them and hijinks ensue.
Wait, are they both Vulcan?
Yeah, well, Spock's famously half human, half Vulcan,
right,
and then
okay.
she's fully Vulcan.
Okay.
I also watched Obi-Wan, which I think you've watched as well.
Yeah, I think I'm caught up on that too. There was, 3 or 4 of those?
4 of them, yeah.
So I don't know much about that show. I heard it's like kind of a hit though, right? And
It's been pretty good.
Yeah, it's been good.
was there like a big fight scene in that show with Darth Vader and Obi-Wan or something?
Yeah.
There was. a
Oh,
fight,
okay.
yeah.
All right, that's what I've heard of so far. Was it like a good scene?
It wasn't bad, but I'm not sure it makes sense.
Oh, really? Okay.
Speaking of making sense, like, I have a question for you since you've seen it. And this is going to be like a slight spoiler. It happens early on in the show, though. Anyone watching this has probably already watched it or doesn't care. But so basically, this is after, I think they call it Order 66, that happens like in episode 3, where they turn and the stormtroopers basically all are mind controlled into exterminating the Jedi, right? So all the Jedi are being hunted.
Right, pretty much they've all been killed off at the start of this.
Right. And like the few that are left are being hunted.
In hiding, yeah.
And so like they're trying to get Obi-Wan. They know he's out there somewhere. And like this, they have the Inquisitors is what they call them, or they're like the Sith people that are going after him. Anyway, basically to lure Obi-Wan out of hiding, they hire these guys to kidnap Leia, baby, or
Right.
like 10-year-old Leia, to draw him out. But my question is, how did they even know about the connection between Obi-Wan and Leia? And if they do know that connection, wouldn't they put it together that, like, that maybe she was Anakin's daughter? That part confused me. Like, how did they even know the connection there?
I'm not really sure how much like Darth Vader knows.
Well, yeah, I don't think at this point he knows about the kids. But it just seems
he's
like
just looking for.
But I'm like,
Obi-Wan.
how does the
basically he would have to know.
I think they call her the third sister, that one Inquisitor. How does she know that there's any connection between Obi-Wan and Leia, and that kidnapping Leia would bring Obi-Wan out? That's the part that confuses me.
She does seem to have some kind of knowledge and like some other experience they haven't gone into, something that, because she's kind of out for revenge or payment. She said some reference to like getting what she's owed or something. So yeah, I don't know her backstory or what like her tie-ins, but somebody has to know.
Yeah, I was a little confused by that. I will say I'm not 100% sure on this. I probably could have looked it up, but like I played that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order game a couple years ago. I think you saw me play at least a portion of it.
Probably, I don't know.
And I'm pretty sure like it ends in where that like last place they were at in the last episode, like that underwater like facility.
Oh, okay.
Floods.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure the last level of that game takes place there, and I want to say that third sister maybe is the like final person you fight. I know it was an African American woman. I don't know if it was the same character or not, but
Now, he said it was a tomb, which would imply that all the people in there were dead. But are they? They kind of make me think they're like in suspended animation or something.
well, it was weird because it almost looked like they were in amber or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking they're dead, but
And are they like Jedi or are they?
I think they were Jedi because the one was like a little kid wearing like those helmets the Jedi have.
Right.
So I think they were Jedi, but then it's like, are they trying to clone them or something?
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Like, yeah, people with those skills.
They're trying to harvest those midi-chlorians is what they're doing.
It could be. You got to grind them up and snort them.
I don't know who these are, but that sounds terrible.
That would be great if that's what they're doing. Like, they grind them down and get all those midi-chlorians and they snort them and they're like, oh, I can feel the force.
That's good Jedi. The Force. The Force is strong.
Are you a Star Wars guy at all, AJ? Have you?
I watched the old ones recently. They were okay. I wasn't like too big on them. I think I would have been a bigger fan if I had watched them when I was a kid.
Me too, because like I'm only a casual fan of Star Wars. Like the movies as a kid, like it seemed like because my parents weren't sci-fi fans, so they never watched them, but they were on like every Thanksgiving or something.
Yeah, it was like a Thanksgiving thing.
And like I would see like pieces and parts of them, but as a kid, I never, became a fan of it. Just not that I hated it. It was just one of those things I never paid much attention to. As an adult, like I watched them and like. So I'm like you. I don't have like that deep love for Star Wars like I probably would if I did like them as much as a kid. But like I've found like enjoyment, especially I think in a lot of the newer stuff, especially like these TV shows. Like I think there's a lot of good stuff there.
Are they all running at the same like? Are they different time periods or are they like a similar time period?
No, well,
it depends on the character, right?
So as far as these TV shows, The Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and I think like even the Ahsoka show they're gonna do, they're all like right after Return of the Jedi, which is the final of the original trilogy.
Was Boba Fett after Empire Strikes Back? It's after he gets fed to that giant sandworm, right?
That's Jedi.
It did happen in Jedi?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's after Jedi. And then Obi-Wan takes place between episode 3, which is a prequel movie, and episode 4, which is the original Star Wars movie. So
okay. I feel like it's so complex that I would have to like.
It does take a while to learn like the different like time periods and things. Yeah.
I think for me, like my Star Wars is Marvel now. Like, growing up with Spider-Man and stuff, X-Men, and then Marvel making its whole cinematic universe now. It's been something I've been very interested in. And actually, that kind of reminds me. I've been listening to a story on YouTube. Basically, it hasn't been completed yet, but it's one with Hulk, who's gotten to like Titan Hulk. He's gotten really like out of control, and Thor becomes a World War Hulk Thor. So Hulk actually he gets in a fight with Thor.
Okay.
And a lot of things. This escalates so much. The story. So it starts out with like Hulk just hulking out and becoming like a new version of himself and stronger, and he's fighting like tougher and tougher villains. So or not villains, but opponents. Iron Man and Cosmic. What is it? What were those? Celestial armor. So his armor that he made to like fight Celestials, he uses that armor to fight the Hulk, and he loses. And then the Hulk ends up fighting Thor, and Thor and Hulk end up almost like it's not switching powers, but adding each other's powers to the other one. So Hulk becomes All-Father Hulk, and Thor becomes World War Thor.
A little switchery.
It's wild. It's just it's interesting. It's just a big jerk off for Marvel fans.
Who's writing this? Is this like a Donny Cates?
I think it's Donny Cates.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know he's writing Thor right now. I'm not sure. I think, yeah, maybe he's writing Hulk too. It probably is him.
But yeah, I just I loved it. Love seeing big things run into each other.
Comics are great, man.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, like I was reading the comic, I'll be like, God damn, this is like great. You know?
Yeah.
Let's see. So, like you were saying, I also watched the first 3 episodes of The Boys, which came out. Really liked it. A lot of gory stuff in it.
Yeah, it's still running strong.
Exploding penises and all like.
He always thinks of
Which
something.
episode?
Like, I think this isn't more disgusting, but yeah, there's like this like Ant-Man, and like the sexual fetishes, like he goes in people's penises and into their prostate and stuff.
Oh no!
Yeah.
That's a fetish? Why would that? How would that? That's so weird, man.
I do have a question for you, and I'll keep this vague so it doesn't spoil. But there's a character who, at one point, just off screen, they say, "Oh, this character committed suicide." Do you think that character really committed suicide? Maybe they did, but I have a feeling they're going to bring that character back, and we find out they didn't.
Maybe they've hidden stuff from Homelander before, so.
Right.
Although, if he was interested, I'm sure he should have been able to find out.
Well, yeah, he could have. It just seemed weird to me that, number one, it happened off screen, and number two, like, it's this evil company, you know?
Right.
I'm like, I have a feeling they'll bring that character back. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe not. I also watched that Rescue Rangers movie on Disney Plus.
I thought about it.
You know what?
I thought about watching with the kids, maybe.
I think your kids would enjoy it.
They might.
It is kind of like a weird take because like it's not really Rescue Rangers. They do this like meta thing where like they were actors who played the Rescue Rangers, you know, and so it's more of like kind of a comment on Hollywood, I guess. But it's kind of a weird thing because much like Roger Rabbit, who makes an appearance in the movie, it's like a mix of toon characters living with human characters.
Okay.
And like a lot of the animated characters have like vastly different like animation styles. And even like Chip and Dale, like Chip is like a traditional like 2D, and then Dale is like Pixar type 3D.
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Right. And it's also weird the amount of like cameo characters they got in that I'm wondering, like, some of them I think they would have had to got permission from other companies, but like some of them are kind of like parody, so maybe they get rid of can use like parody law. But like one of them is Ugly Sonic.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. And then
I heard they really focus on his teeth.
They do, yeah. And they like even like there's like a really short appearance by like Randy Marsh from South Park you see in there. And like there's like a poster that has what's the sock dwarf from Harry Potter?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, there's like a poster you see that has him on it. And just
Dobby.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of like different random cartoon cameos. But yeah, it's fun. Like I do think your kids would enjoy it. Like it's clever and it has some funny stuff in there.
Might be a good one for movie night this week.
I heard the 4chan message boards are going nuts over Gadget. Like, really nasty stuff.
Gadget. Well, you know what's kind of fucked up is like, so the original Rescue Rangers are Chip, Dale, Monterey Jack, Gadget, and Zipper, who's like, is he a bee?
Like a fly or something?
Bee or a fly.
Yeah.
Anyway, we find out that the Gadget and Zipper are a couple, and they have like a ton of kids.
Oh, no.
So I can imagine the 4chan message boards and like DeviantArt. And
Did they show you the kids?
They do.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who they just like a mix of both of them?
Yeah, it's like a mix of both of them.
That's weird.
So there's that. Yeah, I bet if you Google like Rule 34 Gadget and Zipper, you'll find some stuff.
Oh man. Did you guys by any chance see the Black Adam trailer?
I did.
What'd you think of it?
You know, it looks decent.
Yeah, I actually thought it looked good. Like
Yeah.
they made a Dr. Fate look really cool. I thought he looks cool. That Giant Man, or I don't know what his name is. Is it Giant?
Atom Smasher, maybe?
Adam Smith. Okay, yeah, he looks pretty cool. You know, he definitely reminds me of Ant-Man, growing big and everything. But I don't know. They're gonna introduce a lot of new characters in here. It seems like Flashpoint is gonna be where they like reset the whole universe, and in this movie they're gonna introduce like new characters into it. So I guess DC's really rebooting all that stuff.
But then they're going to introduce new characters before they do the reboot movie?
So which one's coming out? Is Flash coming out first?
Well, it was, but now it's not. Now it's coming.
Oh.
Yeah, because now Shazam's coming out October, and like Flash is coming out next summer.
Oh.
I think even Aquaman 2 is going to come out before the Flash.
Oh, the way I had it explained online anyway was that one would set the stage for the other one, but I don't know if they're coming out at different times, and I don't know what they're gonna do.
They'll draw back the curtain on the new shit show.
Just DC doing what DC does.
Yeah, DC, like, they're in such a tricky spot because, like, I kind of feel like if I had my druthers, they would just, like, kind of just finish out, like, the couple that they still have going, like Aquaman and Wonder Woman, whatever, and then just start everything over.
Yeah.
All new, fresh actors, fresh everything. But then it's like they do have a lot of talented actors already on their roster here. And so it's like you do kind of lose them if you do that. Whereas, so maybe like doing like a soft reboot with the Flash. So like you reset certain things, but keep some of the actors you want to keep. That might be the smarter way to go. But boy,
Yeah, I don't know what DC's got planned. Like even with in the Flashpoint, there's confusion as to whether it's going to be Bruce Wayne's dad who's going to be the Batman, or if it's going to be like him again. So they haven't even like confirmed who the character is going to be.
oh, you mean Michael Keaton?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, yeah, in the Flashpoint comic, they have Bruce Wayne's dad.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. I just figured because he played Bruce Wayne, they would keep him Bruce Wayne.
Right.
But, yeah, that's going to be interesting to find out.
I mean, I just don't like DC going away from the source material just because, like, they haven't shown that they can do that successfully.
I mean, when you adapt stuff, like, there's always going to be stuff you have to change. Marvel does it all the time, but yeah, you know, the one thing about DC though, and maybe this will be good, maybe not, but they do got like a new guy in charge because they had that Discovery merger, so now the guy that heads up that is in charge. But like so far, all he's done is taken an axe to like the CW shows.
And he is doing the right thing. He's making good decisions.
Although I will say I think they should have gave Legends of Tomorrow at least like a half season to like satisfy like wrap things up, you know, in a satisfactory manner. But
But man, I the fans were definitely not having it with those shows anymore. They were like,
a lot of them did go downhill. I still haven't finished the last season of Supergirl, which is a tough watch.
yeah, I think I got to like season 4 in Supergirl, and I was like, all right, man, this is they're not going anywhere with this.
But yeah, those are. I mean, they already canceled that one. They canceled Batwoman, which I've only watched the first 2 seasons of Batwoman, and it's not great. So that one doesn't necessarily surprise me. The only thing weird is they just like announced like this new show, I think called Gotham Knights or something. The centers around like kids, like I think the premise is like Batman dies, and then like there's a Robin character and like some other teenage heroes, and it's like the premise didn't sound good. Doesn't mean the show won't be good. But like, it seems weird that they would be canceling these other CW shows and then like starting up another one, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So
I kind of hope they do start up like new shows. To be honest, like I I think there is space for DC shows. Like they had audiences. They just lost them because they got poor quality over time. But I think the fan base is there.
I mean, to me, the only thing that would make sense is if they're going to cancel all these CW shows is if they are going to do like Marvel and truly make a connected universe where all the new ones are going to be, like higher production, maybe in universe.
Yeah, I guess I just want to see DC do what Marvel does.
I mean, they can at least structurally like copy Marvel, I think.
Yeah, just tie it all together, like the way Marvel does. They look far into the future, like even stuff with Kang that we have now, like I forgot, but somebody did like a breakthrough of it, or a breakdown of it, and they said that even in like the previous movies, you can see like leading connections to Kang and stuff like that in the future. So I mean, Marvel really plans that stuff out, and I think DC, you have a multi-billion-dollar, industry you're trying to get into with films and stuff. Then you should definitely do your due diligence and try to make it so that it's a cohesive, united story.
Yeah, I think the ways they should copy Marvel is, number one, like they need basically a singular vision, kind of like a Kevin Feige. Now, if they can't find, because they definitely need someone who's a talented producer, who has a lot of experience producing movies, and also has a knowledge and reverence for DC Comics. Now, if they can't find one person that fits that mold, fine, get two people that are good collaborators.
Yeah.
And then I think Marvel is smart about how they structure things. They didn't just jump into Avengers, They did all the single movies, boom, build to Avengers. And then you do some more single movies, boom, you build to the next big thing like Infinity War or whatever.
Yeah, take your time.
Yeah, cuz I think that's why DC jumped so quick to Justice League and stuff, is they like, oh, look how much money these Avengers movies are making. Yeah, there's a reason they made so much. It's because they built up to them, you know?
They did the legwork first.
And then I think the other smart thing that Marvel does that will actually, Miss Marvel is kind of an example, is they change up their genres. So it's all superhero stuff, but they do it in multiple genres to keep it fresh. And I think that's another thing that DC will have to do.
Yeah, it just didn't seem like they gave it enough thought, like the first time they tried to make their universe, It just didn't seem like they really planned it out. And I'm surprised by a big studio, like a big, or, company like DC not doing that, considering that they're in comics and that's kind of what they do.
Yeah, I think just structurally, like they were not sound or something.
Yeah.
But hopefully with this new management, I know they've already hired like some new people that are, and I think they are giving like DC its own specific film division, like Disney did with Marvel, and put like new heads of that. So hopefully that'll help.
Okay.
But yeah, but even that's, it'll take a couple years to see the fruits of the change, But yeah, hopefully one day DC can get its stuff together and start producing higher quality stuff.
Yeah.
More regularly.
I'll keep watching it, hoping for a hit,
It's just I think the more and more I would like them to get their ducks in a row before they keep doing like Black Adam and like they're doing Batgirl and Blue Beetle, and it's like I'd almost rather see them get their other ducks in a row before they start adding those kind of movies.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, okay, now we got all these other characters, but everything else is a mess. So now we got to find a way to clean it all up,
Yeah, it's like they're building something new while they're still dealing with that old stuff. And
right.
It doesn't make sense.
It's like they're building on top of a bad foundation, kind of. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, guys, we're at about a half hour. Do you guys want to just go into Miss Marvel, or do you think we should do a round of regular stories before we do the review? Or it's kind of
we should probably do Miss Marvel, just see how far it goes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me bring up my notes here. Actually, I know I had Rotten Tomatoes or something up to head the cast list.
What's the percent on Rotten Tomato?
That's a good question. The tomato meter right now is at 95%. The audience score is 85%.
Really?
So they're liking it. Okay, I don't think there's necessarily a synopsis. But anyway, so I guess we'll do really quickly kind of our spoiler-free impressions before we get into real bad spoiler territory. But we're going to review episode 1 of Ms. Marvel. The episode title is Generation Y. They do have a synopsis. Kamala Khan attends Avengers Con only to discover that she herself might have superpowers. The cast includes, and I'm going to butcher some names on this, Aman Vellani as Kamala Khan, Sagar Sheikh as Amir, I think that's her brother, Zenobia Shroff as Maniba Khan, her mother, Mohan Kapoor as Yusuf Khan, her father. There's some other, like, I think an IMDb up had some other ones. But anyway, they're, I think, mostly unknowns. Did you guys really recognize any of the people? I didn't know any of them. Okay. So, yeah, before we get into details, what do you guys just overall thoughts of the first episode? Did you like it? Did you have concerns?
It was okay. I didn't mind it. It was just setting up the story moving forward and what how she deals with becoming a superhero. So I'm okay with the first episode, but it was uneventful. It felt like.
Right.
Yeah, this is like part of their setup for these like 6-7 episode shows is like they'll take an episode or two and just go really slow, and I don't think it works. Like I haven't really liked it on any of the series that they've done like that. I think they come into it too slow.
Yeah, I remember even WandaVision, which is one of the better ones.
Yeah, it was like episode 3.
It took about 3 episodes before it really got going.
I mean, but it's like what we talked about before, like they kind of have to set up the story and then they can like really go with it,
I would actually be more fine with them taking that slow burn start if they were more than 6 episodes.
Yeah.
But being that they're so condensed, I'm like, yeah, maybe we should get going a little faster.
Yeah, the first one I definitely didn't. It was pretty much exactly, what I would have expected. It's a teenage angst show.
Yeah, I'm in your guys' boat. Like, I wasn't super impressed with this episode. Like, it's fine. I think, like we were talking about before, I think Marvel's smart of doing different genres. It's just, as a guy in his late 30s, a coming-of-age, like, teenager story isn't going to appeal to me as quickly as something like a Loki with a cool sci-fi bend to it.
I mean, I do like some of those movies. I understand. It's definitely like a fantasy for kids to have powers, or anybody really.
Right.
So there's a lot to tie in there, but so far it hasn't shown us much.
So there's a part of it that I thought was kind of hard to swallow. We'll get to it, but there was an issue with the powers and how she got them.
Definitely much different from the comics. Okay, yeah. So from this point on, guys, spoilers ahead. We'll just kind of do a plot synopsis and kind of comment on things as we go along. Guys, chime in whenever you want. But we start off, we find out that Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, is much like us, a podcaster and YouTuber. We basically see, like, right out of the gate, she's a huge fanboy of the Marvel superheroes, and especially Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers is her favorite, and we kind of see she puts together like this YouTube video, I think, of like the Avengers, and their kind of the fight with Thanos and stuff, using like I guess like paper cutouts or something.
Yeah, basically, she's a creative dreamer.
Right, she's a creative type, artist type, and we'll see. Like, there's a lot of these parts in the show with a lot of like animations that kind of are supposed to like show you like kind of the inside of her mind,
right,
I guess.
Daydreaming aspect.
Yeah, daydreaming aspect of her mind. Anyway, she gets done posting that YouTube video. She goes downstairs, and we find out that she is going to take her driver's test today.
All right, this was not a great scene.
So we're introduced to her family. So she's got her brother, who's like a really super like religious Muslim. Like I have a feeling like
and charming. Yeah, he's kind of interesting.
I think her parents like are even like, God, this fucker goes too hard on the Muslims.
So this is so this is kind of strange, right? Because they seem like a mix of like Middle Eastern and Indian.
Yeah, they're Pakistani.
Well, they're Pakistani.
Oh, they're Pakistan. Mm-hmm. I thought they were Indian. Okay, that makes sense.
No, they're Pakistani. So,
okay.
So yeah, there's this whole scene, and like they're gonna hammer this home. And AJ, maybe you probably can't relate to this, but their parents really, especially your mother, really play the guilt card on her a lot.
I can relate to that.
I was wondering like how much you'd have to say about this episode about like the family dynamics.
Yeah, I could definitely. I saw some similarities between Kamala Khan and a lot of like Indian, Southeast Asian, like cultural kind of behavioral characteristics, and family.
Right.
So yeah, that's something that I think a lot of, especially like girls, have to deal with, like their parents being strict and stuff like that.
And like her mother was like, you got to check your mirrors every 10 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about.
And
that was for the driving test.
For the driving test.
Okay.
And the dad her dad seems like a little less like annoying than her mom.
Yeah.
Like he's a little more laid back.
He's kind of a sympathetic character almost.
Right. And he's like, you don't really have to check him that much. Anyway, she has this scene where like she's in the car with the driving instructor, and the very first thing she does is like the old SpongeBob, like floor it.
Right, he's exactly like SpongeBob. She's like, they're about to take off. She puts it in reverse and just floors it as hard as she can.
Yeah, into her driver instructor's car, which then has to get towed.
Yeah, that wasn't a good scene.
Yeah, and then as it's getting towed, like her parents are there, and they're being like, very defensive of her and kind of telling the driver guy off. But then as soon as they get her like in the car, and they're driving away, then her mom really puts the guilt trip on her, like, oh, I was gonna have you help out with all this stuff, but I guess not anymore since you can't drive or whatever,
That is like the benefit when your kid starts to drive, though, because they want to drive, and you just send them on like all the errands. You're like, yeah, why don't you go down there and get some milk? Okay.
So then she goes to her school. I didn't freeze frame it, but I noticed like they show like a plaque on the school, and one of the names was G. Willow Wilson, who's like the creator of the character, and I imagine all the other names are also like the artists and stuff that have been associated with her in the comics.
So have you both read these comics? I'd never even heard of her.
No, I never read Miss Marvel.
I've read a lot of them.
Okay. Cool.
The earlier ones are pretty good. Like eventually, like some of them aren't very good, but she's an endearing character in the comics for sure. She's definitely kind of like the female Peter Parker, where they get you interested in like her as a character and like her relationships and stuff. So it's pretty good. Anyway, once she gets to school, we're introduced to kind of her friends and people at her school. So like her best friend is this kid named Bruno, and we find out that like. Yeah, there's like this Avengers Con coming up where they both want to go to it, and there's like a costume contest that she wants to enter as Miss Marvel, and I don't know if we get it right here, but basically we're gonna find out that he's like genius, like inventor type kid.
Yeah, it's a trope I really hate, and
Dude,
it's in so many comics.
Marvel comics especially. There's so many child geniuses.
Yeah, like Iron Lad. I think the girl, Riri Williams.
Yes, and she's going to have her own show, so we're going to have another...
Or Ironheart, I think is her name.
Ironheart, yeah.
And then the two kids of Reed Richards.
Yeah, especially
Valeria,
the girl. Yeah, Valeria.
I think well-meaning but kind of stupid would be a good character.
You bought that Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur book for your
she's
kids?
a genius.
Yeah, I didn't read that, but yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure she's a genius. So, yeah Marvel's just like littered with with child geniuses. Even I think we talked about this. Peter Parker himself is like a selective genius, like at times. So yeah, too many child geniuses. Marvel. She's also got
well-meaning dum-dum is like Thor, right? Isn't he kind of like a dum-dum, but he's like got good intentions?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
I'd say he's average intelligence at least.
We also got her friend Nakia, which she doesn't really do much in this episode. Probably will have more in later episodes. Zoe, who is like, seems like the popular girl that maybe isn't like terrible to her, I guess.
She threw that ball in her face and made her bleed. Was that her?
I'm not sure. I forgot about that scene. Maybe it was. Maybe she's the
I don't know
school
if it
bitch.
showed who throwed it, but
Yeah, I'm not
there
sure
were a
if it
bunch of
showed.
people there to laugh about it, I guess.
But she seems like, the plastic, like, popular girl. Over the loudspeaker, her like flamboyantly gay Principal Wilson, calls her into the principal's office. And they have this discussion where he's basically just like, oh, Kamala, you always have your head in the clouds, but, why you need to, like, look at yourself in the mirror and, like, get serious or whatever. And, the SATs and stuff like that are coming up, and just kind of gives her a pep talk, I guess. She meets Bruno at the, like, corner store, which I think in the comics, like, his family owns. I'm not 100% sure on that.
No, I don't know.
Anyway, he's like, besides being a genius, he's a good, what do you call that paint that he uses? Not spray paint, but you know what I'm talking about. Airbrushing or whatever.
Oh, airbrushing, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. Because they're making costumes.
Right. He's helping her make her suit for the con.
So this is a thing that doesn't make sense. Like, her parents are strict on her about, like, she can't go to this convention or whatever, but she, like, hangs out with this guy pretty much any time of day, whenever, wherever.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like,
Yeah, you would think conservative parents like that would have a problem with her being with a boy unsupervised,
So, yeah, I don't know. They could have probably just went and been like, we're going to go have a ice cream.
That's true. Like, maybe because it was later at night, they would have had a problem. I don't know. Anyway,
Well, no, because they were hanging out on that rooftop at night.
that's true. They could have been just like, oh, we're going up to the rooftop. Maybe she snuck out to do that. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, like, one thing they set up and they mentioned several times is like, oh, she needs a special flourish for her costume, right? And they talk about this. And they're like on a bicycle ride, and they're like, oh, maybe the flourish could be like a mashup between Captain Marvel and other superheroes like Doctor Strange or Black Panther. And this is another thing where they use the graffiti on the buildings they pass to basically take the form of those things she's talking about as they do it. I guess it's neat, but
Yeah, it's filler. Yeah.
I might have somewhere in here. I don't know really the order of events. At one point, she's at home and she gets this box of stuff from her grandmother, her mother's mother, and at one point she pulls out this bracelet.
Yeah, which is going to be
Right.
magic.
You can tell right away that's going to be the link to the powers. And her mom's just like, oh, that stuff's trash or whatever. Like, and my mom's crazy or something. Doesn't she say something to that
Yeah,
effect?
like she keeps sending all her trash to them so they'll save it.
Something like that. Yeah, I think she mentions, like, before she dies, she wants to...
did she say that her mom was still alive? She said her mom was still sending stuff?
I think so.
Damn.
I don't know if it was a mom or like an aunt.
Okay.
I think it was... I think they mentioned that it's her grandma, her mother's mother. I think.
Well, it belonged to her, but I wasn't sure if it came to
Oh,
her.
I see what you're saying. So at some point also around this
Because you would think that would be an item that would require a bit more care. I'm assuming her grandmother had the power, right?
Yeah, sounds like
She
takes
has
after
the power.
I kind of think at one point they're going to link this item to like Shang-Chi's corner of the universe.
That's what I was thinking too.
This bracelet belonged to Sinbad.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, just so aloof with that bracelet, like so just whatever, careless,
Yeah.
blase.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. Like it. That's such. It's the MacGuffin of the show, right? Like the bracelet, like it has powers and it's everything in the show, and they just, just throw it upstairs, whatever. We'll put it over there. And
Yeah, her brother threw the box in the attic. Or something.
well, let's get into this because, okay, in the comics, she is an Inhuman. And so Inhumans, basically, they get hit with this thing called the Terrigen Mist. And if they're an Inhuman, it basically puts them in this kind of cocoon type thing. And then they're reborn with whatever power they have. I kind of understand, because that one Inhuman show was kind of a bust and they didn't, put it in this universe or whatever. Like, I can understand them maybe like, okay, we don't want to do that. But just having this magical bracelet seems cheap to me. It seems like they could have came up with something a little more interesting than that. I don't know.
It's usually like the puberty. Get my powers with my puberty.
Even if it was that to me would have been a little more interesting.
Yeah, because you could tie that back to the Celestials, and we know something about that already. But this bracelet just comes out of left field. Like, I don't know.
Also, like, in the comics, and we haven't seen the extent. In this episode, we don't get the extent of what everything the bracelet can do. But in the comics, her power is kind of like Reed Richards-esque. Like, she has the power to embiggen. Like, she can grow, like, stretch out real far. She can grow real tall. She can, like, move all of her mass to her, like, fist or whatever if she wants to, and things like that. So, like, her power set scene, like, she doesn't throw projectiles or anything like she does in this show.
Yeah, this seemed like
So her power set's
Green
a lot.
Lantern-esque.
Yeah, I can
Like,
see
you
that.
can kind of, like, imagine things and, like, project them or something.
Yeah, I guess so.
But also, like, maybe a shield. I don't know.
Probably.
It seemed like an extension. Like she's kind of controlling it.
So I don't know. I don't know if I like that power set as much as what she has in the comics, but we'll see. They might be able to do something cool with it. So Bruno makes this, like, this is where we get the sense that he's like this big inventor. He makes this alarm system for her father. This, like, voice activated. It's like a voice activated, like, alarm system / clapper that turns the lights on and off.
It's an Alexa, basically.
Yeah. He could have just gave her an Alexa.
I know. That's what I was thinking too.
So this is another thing, is like she's been like talking to him about how, like, they'll never, like, how is she going to get to the con? And he's like, why don't you just, like, break down and just ask your parents, and, like, she's all freaked out about it. Now at some point before, I think this is before she asks them, like, yeah, they go up to the roof like you were talking about, and, like, we find out he made her, like, these light up gloves for her costume.
Yeah.
Which again seems pointless ultimately. But
Well,
whatever.
it was kind of like, it was a nice thought. It was a nice gift, but, like, well, we'll get to it. Ultimately, incredibly pointless.
Yeah, I guess we get the sense that there's probably a romance brewing between these two. She goes and she asks her parents if she can go, and, like, of course they say no, they don't want her out. And I think the parent, like, her mom mentions, like, wearing too tight of clothing or something like that too. And, like, she talks about the double standard. Like, it is true in a lot of families about, like, oh, if my brother asked, you'd be like, oh, of course you can go, but, I can't. So she's, like, pissed off about that too.
Yeah.
And then, like, she goes up to her room. She texts Bruno that she can't go or whatever. And then her brother comes in and says, like, I'll talk to him for you. So then, like, her mom's like, okay, we changed our mind. You can go, but your dad's going to go with you to chaperone or whatever. And then she's like, and I got a surprise. And he comes out dressed as the Hulk. And then, like, she gives her a homemade Hulk costume that looks, like, terrible or whatever. And then, like, she's kind of rude to her dad or whatever and says, no, like, she doesn't want that. So then the deal's off again. Like, he says they're not going.
I thought that scene was a little too dramatic, man. Like,
Yeah.
they tried really hard to make it seem like the parents were just completely devastated. And I was like, that's such a small conversation. Anybody would be like, whatever, you know.
Right.
they like fully committed.
Yeah.
The dad's all got his green face.
He's like, oh, no.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, he's got a tear in it.
Yeah.
So now that she can't go,
Maybe they should go like full Indian melodrama on this.
Like face shots, like zoom, zoom, zoom.
break out into song and dance every 5 minutes.
These episodes would go on forever, man. You talking about it slow now?
So now she, because they said no, she plots this whole thing where they're going to use his security system to basically monitor his parents, and also anytime they knock on her door, like, it's going to make her voice, like, say something.
Yeah, like I'm naked or something.
Yeah, that was it. And then they're going to, like, take their bikes and get on the bus.
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing interesting.
Yeah.
But she draws it all out on this chalkboard because nobody would do that. So yeah, anyway, so they do that. She ends up losing her bike because she's bad at getting it on the bus.
People take liberties with taking shit on the bus. They're like homeless people trying to take like a whole freaking shopping cart and freaking that shit on the bus. What the fuck are you doing, man?
Don't buses have like little things to put the bike on the outside?
A lot of them will have like a bike rack on the front.
Yeah.
I guess I'm actually thinking more of like the metro where it's like ground level and people like be pulling their whole homeless house and stuff. Just like, this is crazy.
But anyway, they get to the Avengers Con, and we get this montage of them having a good old time, seeing all the different things. There's like a giant Ant-Man thing, and all these different exhibits and whatnot. But then, like, she starts to get ready for the costume contest, and wouldn't you know it, Zoe, the school bitch, is there, and she's dressed as Captain Marvel. She's gonna be in the competition.
That bitch.
And she looks substantially better in her costume.
Yeah, her costume looked like legit.
Yeah.
Like, it made me wonder, like, did she have it professionally made or something?
I know, she should have been like, God damn it, Bruno, you're a genius and you can't make me something like that. You're making me this bullshit. And then, yeah, she goes in the bathroom and, like, starts to get ready. But, like, you alluded to this, she puts the gloves on the ground and accidentally leaves them in the bathroom. So it's like, the gloves didn't fucking matter.
I mean,
Yeah, you thought they were going to play some part.
yeah.
And then she just leaves them and you're like, well, I guess that's the end of that. And then her boyfriend or the guy is slightly disappointed and they move on with their lives.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah.
Also, she put her helmet and the gloves on the bathroom floor, and I was like, that is just disgusting.
They're ruined now.
It took me out of the scene. I was like, that's not realistic.
If she gets some, like, disease on her ears, then it'll be realistic. But then, the costume flourish comes back. We find out her flourish, of course, is going to be this bangle, this bracelet she got from her her grandmother or whatever. And she puts it on, and predictably, it gives her powers. And it even, like, doesn't it do, like, a thing where it, like, kind of gets bigger on her wrist, like, slides a little bit or something. And, so, yeah, she goes on stage, and, like, she's getting kind of, like, I don't know, feels weird about all the attention and the cameras snapping her picture and stuff.
Yeah, she's, like, disoriented with all the flashes and stuff.
And this causes her to, like, discharge, like, out of her bracelet or whatever.
Yeah, something
like
random.
Yeah, just like this random like shape or something, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, ooh, ah.
Yeah.
And it basically then one of them like goes and hits the big Ant-Man thing and the Ant-Man's head rolls off. And that causes this like Rube Goldberg like thing where like ropes start to unravel and all this other stuff. And eventually it like releases like a large like thing like Thor's hammer or something.
Oh, right. Oh, Thor's hammer swinging around.
That head did not obey the laws of physics, man.
Yeah. You're right. That son of a bitch just kept rolling.
Yeah, it was like limitless energy. I was like, we should harness that thing, man.
There were even times where it seemed like it slowed down and then sped back.
Yeah. I thought it stopped for a minute and then it kept going.
And then so Thor's hammer ends up hitting Zoe and it like takes her up in the air. And then it's like even if she would have let her just like fall, like it wouldn't have killed her.
Yeah.
But
it seems like it hit her should have hit her with like enough force to have done some damage.
Break her ribs. It seemed like it hit her hard
Because it
enough
still
to
had enough
do it.
energy to like lift her like 30 feet in the air.
And then it smashed her between the hammer and a wall.
And she fell.
it'd be great if she was like, well, I guess that bitch didn't win. But anyway, then she uses like the power to safely like catch Zoe and break her fall. Now this is one thing that I thought was weird. So her and Bruno are going home. Of course, they're both on his bike because she lost her bike. But I'm like, they barely talk about the whole situation. I'm like, these kids would have stopped somewhere and been like, holy shit, like you have superpowers, holy fuck. And like, you don't get that scene. And I'm like, I just didn't buy that they barely talked about it, you know?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I felt like they should have definitely... That should have been a huge scene. Like,
right.
They celebrate, and they're just experimenting, and they're doing the whole thing. But, yeah, they just skipped right over it.
Like, I get that there's an urgency to get back to her house or whatever. But at the same time, I'm like, something that crazy happens, they would have talked about it more.
Yeah. There was a point where I was like, do they even believe she has powers? Like, do they think it was just some weird thing that happened? Like, they're not discussing it. So like,
I mean, they have to know she has powers. I mean, yeah, it was just weird. Like that part didn't jive with me.
Yeah.
Like they needed an extra scene there. I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just anyway, they get home. He like helps boost her up to her room, and like she uses her power a little bit to get up. And doesn't it create like a thing with her foot there where it like jumps her up a bit?
Yeah, like a little
she has like
step.
a little pedestal to jump off of or something.
Yeah. And of course, like her mom figured out that she wasn't really there. Mom's waiting for her in her room, and we get more mom guilt here. She's very disappointed in her, and she gives her this whole speech about, do you want to be some hero with your head in the clouds, or do you want to be a good person like I raised you? Because you can't be both.
A hero's not a good person.
Right. Right. And then so she leaves, and then like
And then Kamala just kind of stares at her wrist, and she's like, "Power."
or she says something cosmic, or something like that. And she like smiles, and we fade to black. Now, did you guys watch the post-credit scene?
No, I didn't know there was one.
There was one.
No, I was good after that.
It's not much. So, and I didn't know this until I saw it on like Wikipedia or something. But basically, there's these two like government workers, agents, and the woman's like, "Hey, did you see this viral video of like this girl at this convention?" And he's like, "No," and like she shows him the video, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's worth investigating. We should go pick her up and question her or whatever." And apparently, they work at the Department of Damage Control. Damage Control was like an old Marvel title. So I guess it's an allusion to that. But yeah, it wasn't much. But apparently these two government agents are going to play a role and they're on to her already.
Okay, that changes things. I didn't know about that. I guess there is a little bite for what's happening in the next episode. But I really hope they do focus on some of those things that we talked about them leaving out, like her new powers and being more excited about it and like discovering. I think they will, but I really need some more backstory on that bracelet of hers. Like they need to give us the deep dive on that.
Yeah, I don't know if they will or not in this show, but like it just seemed to me like, you know, with Shang-Chi and like the 10 rings thing, I'm like, I could definitely see them like connecting that bracelet to his kind of universe or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's some, you know, relic, much like his, that gives powers, you know. Yeah. But still, yeah, I was kind of like, I don't think I like this as much as her powers in the comics, but
I didn't know about her powers in the comics, but I couldn't get a good feel of what her powers are right now exactly.
Yeah, same. Like he was saying, it's almost Green Lantern-esque, but like different. So yeah, I'm not sure. Now, do you guys think obviously at some point she's going to meet Captain Marvel? Do you think that'll happen in this first season of this show?
Yeah, I think like the last episode.
I kind of do too.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It's going to have to pick up the pace here.
Do you predict you will like this show better or worse than Hawkeye?
I think it's not hard to say. I probably will like it better.
What
so
about
far,
you?
I'm not in love.
I'm not in love with it. I'm not
hoping it picks up.
I'm not in love with it. If I had to score this episode, I'd probably give it like 6 out of 10. Mm-hmm. It's fine.
But they're going to need a bad guy. Is it just going to be the government?
No, I don't think the bad guy is going to be the government. I think they probably will.
They'll be the side enemy.
It'll probably be like a teenage bullied victim from her school or something like that.
Man, I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope it's not like Wonder Woman where that girl just gets powers out of nowhere and then becomes her nemesis.
That's right. There was like, that side chick.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Zoe girl? She's like, she's all mad from getting crushed by Thor's hammer, and she's gonna discover some artifact, that gives her special powers.
Where the chance my grandma sent this to
me. It's the left bangle.
Oh yeah, it was a matching set.
I felt a little amiss that there weren't like 2 of them.
Yeah, that's true. It did feel kind of weird.
You solved it. There's another bangle out there.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who the villain is. Marvel has done pretty well when it comes to like, it's 50-50. Like they've done sometimes pretty well, like when it comes to the first 2 episodes, first episode being slow and then building a show around it, which is actually very, likable that I liked with Loki and WandaVision. So, I mean, they can do that, but, it could go the way of Hawkeye and Winter Soldier, too. So, I'll stick with it, but we'll see.
I don't know where they're going to go. I'm trying to think back. I think in most the comics so far, like, the people she's fought do tend to be, like, other teens. But
maybe if they, like, My Girl, the love interest... I'll be like, they pulled me back in.
Not the bees.
New Jersey, bees everywhere.
I do think in the comics, like, he loses an arm somehow.
Oh, that's yeah.
But then I think he gets, like, a metal arm to replace it or some bullshit.
The old metal arm.
Yeah.
Everybody gets metal arms.
They never give somebody like a shitty hook.
Well, Jax had those tiny little arms in Mortal Kombat
Yeah.
till his chi kicked in or whatever.
That's right. Those were pretty funny.
That is one of the things about, like, you know, these superhero universes is, like, you know, Barbara Gordon was paralyzed for so many years, but I bet you there's other people in the DC universe that have all this crazy, like, cyborg technology that are like, oh yeah, we could have had you walking years ago.
But you're a side character.
You ever think there's someone who's like paralyzed and like they get fixed and they're like, I have full use of my vag again.
Yes.
Yeah, that didn't go.
Although even when she was paralyzed, I think she had use of her vag because her and
But did she feel anything?
well, her and Dick Grayson still for a while had a relationship while she was paralyzed, and I think
It wasn't like the boys where
I think
like
there's a
one was
panel-
like a burn victim jerking off the other one.
no, I think there was a panel or two with them in bed though during the years she was paralyzed. I think.
That was like a no lube situation too. That was bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was no. Sorry, I had to. Like, but she rubbed that thing raw.
But I mean, Homelander, he's got a strong dick. He's got a dick of steel,
Yeah,
so
I
he's
guess so,
good.
yeah.
If anything, it hurt her hand.
Wasn't it a no finish?
Oh yeah, it was a no finish
Yeah, it
as
was a
well.
no finish.
Oh.
He lost the he lost his pipe in the middle. Oh, that was so gross.
Yeah, you could hear it. It was just terrible.
They should have almost had like a metal like clanking sound.
The boys. I love the fucked up shit like that.
There's a lot.
It's nasty.
There's a lot of.
They
fucked
have
up
like
shit.
a lot of gross sex stuff.
Yeah. I mean, just those first 3 episodes of this season had a lot of like gory, like blood exploding kind of moments.
Yeah.
Each season, man, it's a great show. I forget. Do you watch The Boys? Or
I watched the first season.
He's like, I just watched the clips of the sex stuff.
I just YouTube people doing stuff like that.
you just watch the montage.
The boys' sex montage.
I saw on Pornhub. It was very educational.
I bet somebody's has probably clipped out all those, put them together.
You know, Jason Mantzoukas, he said he watched a movie for How Did This Get Made on Pornhub.
Oh, really?
One of those movies was uploaded to Pornhub.
Nice.
You know, there's a guy who like made a bunch of money. I think he was Indian. Like he just uploaded like math tutorials on Pornhub.
I don't know why, but okay. I mean, what's the logic behind
I
that?
have no idea.
He said he made money off of that?
Yeah, that's what.
Damn.
I forgot where I saw that story.
Somebody's
I'm gonna have to
jerking
look
off
it
like,
up.
oh, I got homework. Oh, this guy. Yep, that's it.
Well, like after the first 3 minutes, then you can go on his channel.
Yeah.
Do those videos make you harder than Chinese arithmetic? Well, guys, we talked about nerd shit for more than an hour.
All right.
We did it.
I feel like we ended where we should have started.
What do you mean?
Gross sex shit.
I mean,
Normally we-
we talked about the boys a little bit at the beginning, but yeah, we skipped over the best part. So what do you guys think? Each week we can dive into Miss Marvel and
It better get better.
Yeah, I do hope it improves. If it stays this way, then I won't like it that much.
Yeah, this is the no lube jerk job.
Yeah.
Just staring at her scarred up face the whole time.
In a hospital bed.
well, everybody watching and
And it was
listening,
a no finish as well.
Everybody watching and listening thinks this is the audio version of the no finish hand job. You got no finish. Except this one. Please like and subscribe.
Actually, now we know why people only watch for 30 seconds.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Anyway, well, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe on to us on YouTube. Also subscribe on your YouTube or your podcast service of choice. Leave comments, leave positive reviews, and why not come over and bother us on Twitter, guys? Where can people find you on Twitter?
A name for this too, and that's number 2.
At Unsolicited, SUG.
And you can find me at Zach Jones Live. That's ZachJonesLive. And that is going to do it for all of our marvelous shenanigans and poppycock this week. Please, please, please tune in again next week. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.